Hello, welcome to another episode of the Inforunners. I was waiting for Dyson to say something.
I normally do, but you've been doing such a great job, and you're the person controlling the recording this time.
Well, welcome to episode 37 of the Inforunners, and this is the Anniversary Sale. Well,
Happy Anvil Day, everyone! Happy Anvil Day!
I think the chat's not working. I can't see the chat properly, guys. Oh, there we go.
there you go.
You do need to restart it. See, I told you. The background's all grey, and it's...
What in the world is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
go.
That's much better. Awesome. Cool.
Either way, it is the Anvil Sale, and for all of those who've wanted to pick up the Carrack, now's your time. Crucible, Terrapin, oh my, and all sorts of amazing fighters. So, really good sale going on.
Speaking of, we're going to be doing a CCU-based guide for more advanced sort of CCU purchases every single day of this sale. So, like, you know, if you want advice, particularly about investments, speculative-based investments, or how to lock in those more expensive ships before they go up in price, we're going to be covering that. So
Talk to this guy.
We're going to be doing that first, and then we're going to talk about the sale, and afterwards we'll be answering questions.
Oh, we have to talk about the Hawk too.
Yeah. But we'll get into this first, because some people may just want to watch the video just to get the juicy information they want to before they seal the deal and make the purchase. Okay.
So the Hawk. Gonna say.
Wait. No.
Well, he's talking about his CCUs. He's got his CCUs. Let him talk about that first.
Okay, so the
He's
first
just got to read. Can't you see? He can't do two things at once. So reading and talking is not possible.
So first
just give him a second.
The big chips, we got the Carrack. It went up by $50. I hate to tell you, if you still want a Carrack, this is a great deal. Because the Carrack, they've gone halfway here. It's sort of like, it should probably increase by another $100 to be honest. And they didn't want to leave it at the old price because it's so close. So when this thing goes flight ready in, let's say, 3.1, I doubt they're going to spring it on 3.0 because they had such a rush. This will go up in price again. So you still have an opportunity to get it cheaper than what it's going to be when it's flight ready. And if you are very particular about you don't have enough cash right at the moment, or you want to keep it as a CCU that you can spend with real money and then give to a friend who may be missing out, or perhaps potential friend or org member in future, the CCU I'm going to recommend is the Starfarer Gemini to the Carrack CCU, which is going to be $60. This allows you to lock in the current price of $400 without investing a huge amount of money. The reasoning behind this is the Gemini is one of the ships that are already flight ready. It will never increase in price. It's stuck. It's where it's going to be, and therefore keeping this CCU in your hangar will make sure you will be able to in future, or perhaps one of your friends in future, if you buy with real credits, a sort of quasi war bond, be able to give the same sort of advantage or benefit to a friend.
Can I ask a quick question? Is the Gemini readily available, like every day of the week type thing now, or is that still a concept only type of sale?
Well, just this year alone, it's been on sale so many times because there's a subscriber ship, and then they offer it for sale for subscribers, or it's been on sale more than any other capital ship all this year and last year.
Would the Starfarer be more commonly available than the Gemini? That's my only question. Sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate here, I know. But,
I usually see the Gemini a little bit more. The last several sales that I've seen a Starfarer, it has been the Gemini.
Okay.
I do want to say this. I would actually, I'm not the guru over there, but I would actually recommend having also CCU to something that is readily available, because what I would look at picking up is a Gladius to Cutlass Black CCU, so that way you wait for that to actually maybe somehow improve, and then maybe you can figure out your stepping stones to something that is readily available, like an Aquila. That way you can actually take advantage of some of the steps that are going to happen.
Yeah, well, that was the point I was trying to make when you were saying about readily available ship. That's what I was kind of asking about Starfarer. Sorry, guys.
Well, the thing is, if you have the money spare, you can just buy straight into a Carrack right now. This is that's something anyone can do. They can buy a Hawk with LTI, they can CCU over to a Carrack right now. But the problem is that's not advantageous if you're cash strapped right at the moment, or if someone in future they want a CCU. Are you going to sit on several $100s worth of a CCU until someone wants it? No. But having a cheap $60 CCU is something that you can keep in reserve. And it's essentially a price speculation sort of CCU. It will increase in value at least twice over to 3 times its value right now once it actually goes to flight rating. So this is about getting the old price and perhaps benefiting from it, or others benefiting from it. And this is what this guide is for. This is not a general, we are going to avoid generalist CCU based, I want this ship and so I could get this. We are going to be focusing on more advanced mechanics, longer term, minimal investment, price speculation, and being able to gift that benefit to a friend or another org mate who maybe missed it.
I can understand that, but I do think it's important for the viewers to understand that picking up something like your Cutlass Black and a couple readily available is, if I'm just going to want to buy the Carrack outright right now and I have the cash, that's what I would be doing right now, is just building up those building blocks.
On the Drake Day though. This
today
is Anvil. I was going to say maybe we're going to do one of these every single day.
Maybe give both options. So here's your long-term investment, here's your short-term investment, depending on which way you want to go.
We will
so
talk about maybe the CCUs on the Drake Day, but not.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I think Dyson's trying to say is it's better if you can have an upgrade to be readily available, so you can upgrade when that chip comes out straight away, as opposed to one that we're going to have to wait potentially up to 6 months to be able to upgrade to that chip. So maybe with your guide, if you're going to do it, so here's a long-term one and here's a short-term one. And obviously the short-term one's going to cost more than the long-term one. So what he's saying is just give viewers options. And I think that's probably a good idea, actually.
Yes, because great example is the person we were talking to earlier who is going to buy that outright right now, your Carrack. I mean, this would be better advice, which would be, great, we know you got the money, we know you want it. Let's just have it's short term, but it at least will hopefully save a few dollars here and there.
Yeah, but
even if it's just 20 or 30.
The thing is, there's no point discussing this because anyone can do that right now. We're talking more advanced maneuvers. We're not doing general CCU advice here. We're not giving.
What's your next CCU upgrade recommendation then?
Yeah, let's stick to Anvil. Let's stick to what's on today's sale.
Crucible.
Because what's actually important. The Crucible is another ship, and again, like Gemini over to the Crucible is only a $10 CCU. And this locks in your ability to get a Crucible 1 year, 2 years, whatever, before they shut down CCU sales. You will be able to get a Crucible at some point and be able to make sure that you don't miss out when it goes up in price. The other great thing about it is only being $10. You can get a few of these. You can use this to speculate on a possible price increase and discount a more expensive ship like a Hull E or a Polaris when it goes in price. And if you're spending real money, you can give that gift to a friend who may have missed out on the Crucible before it went up in price. So this is, again, in the absence of $0 CCUs, which is basically what we're covering here, not regular CCU, I can just CCU a token to a full ship. This is not what we're going to be talking about. We're talking about how to take the system and take the advantage in ways that would benefit you. Let's say that you can't afford that now, or you want to be able to give that as a gift to an org mate or a friend. So yeah, the Gemini to the Crucible CCU, it's only $10. There's no reason why you shouldn't pick it up. You may want to put it to future use. You maybe can't afford a Crucible right now. And maybe you want to spend some real money and gift some of those to your org mates who said, oh, I missed out on the Crucible. It's gone up in price, and oh, I really wish I had one. Oh, I've got $10 CCU. I'll give you it for $10.
I wouldn't be surprised if actually having a Crucible CCU lying around just for upgrading to something else as the years go on would not be a bad idea either, because, man, the ship right now is at a very reasonable price, and you would expect it to jump up proportionally with something like a Carrack or something. So,
well, we've speculated previously. Oh, I was just going to say, we speculated previously the original concept price is usually half of what the ship is worth. So if the ship was concepted at $350, the final Carrack should work out around about $700, and that kind of sits probably right with me. What do you think, Hayes?
I think you put 50% on from the original concept. So like if it was, I
Okay.
fully expect the Carrack and the Reclaimer to jump up $150. They've already done the first step, $50. I will fully expect them to go up another $100 when they go flight ready.
Not to have spoilers into something else we're going to be talking about when we hit about the roundiverse, but the size increase makes me definitely think that you're right, if not maybe even more. And also that new rover they're making for it.
So what are you thinking? You're thinking $450 for final price, Hayes? Just to get it in the right.
That's only $100. It might end up being
I think
between
500.
$450 and $500, somewhere in between. Depends on each
All
ship.
right, well, I still think it might be $600 to $700, but that's just my guess. I'll wait and see. There's a quick question there from Merlin, actually, in the chat. And,
I can
to
give
answer
private
it really
advice. I did read your message. Just trying to find a time to play it. If anyone does want private advice, especially if you are in org, you can find me on the Discord. I'm going to be on and free to chat with people every single day of the sale. And I'm going to be in public voice chats in channels, and I will try and make myself available to anyone who wants private advice, whether we want to draw up spreadsheets and get really more complex. And yeah, those people not inside org, I'm afraid it's much more limited unless you want to jump on our Discord.
I'm just going to say, guys, I'm working on currently setting up a Discord for our podcast, like popular requests. So
That's a great idea.
This might be up later on during the sale.
If it is, we'll put it on
let's
put it in
let's see if we can get it up.
description.
Let's see if we can get it up this afternoon. Might even be able to see if we can get it done today. Great.
So
All right, let's keep going with this CCU guide, because we've really spread it out now. So whoever's watching this video is going to miss the first part of it because there's so much extra stuff.
Now the next ship that's interesting is the Terrapin. Obviously it's being worked on. It hasn't gone up in pricing yet, but it is definitely going to jump up like $20 to $30 once it's complete. This is not a starter ship. This is a dedicated industry ship, best of its class for its size. And yeah, you can easily take advantage of this.
I still think it's an advanced. Sorry, I still think it's an advanced starter. I really see it as an advanced starter because it's
the
solid.
Carrack is your in game, and honestly, in my opinion, if you got your Terrapin, and if you have maybe a fighter to go with it, you might as well just melt both and get your Carrack, because that's going to be way better bang for your buck.
But then think about matching a Polaris with a Terrapin, and suddenly it is.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
It's not a starter ship. This is an in-game ship that you use with big ships.
Yeah, I agree with Hayes completely there. I think each ship has got merit. Not only that, you're talking about a ship that's got like a whole crew versus one. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, they've both got their place.
They both have their place, but I'm just saying, if you have the same amount of money invested into Star Citizen...
Yeah, leave this to later. Let him finish his CCU guide, and then we'll go into in-depth discussion.
Yeah, because I talk about the Terrapin all day. There's some stuff they said, and I just have so much to say about it.
All right, keep going. Then keep going with the rest.
Anyway, what my recommendation is to get a Super Hornet to the Terrapin CCU, which is only $10. And again, you say, why don't you get a ship that's always available? Because it's $10, and the cheaper the CCU, the more of them you can stack. So if you wanted to get 5 of them, and you wanted to use that to discount another ship, or you wanted to give that to a friend who didn't get it before it went flight ready, and it's going flight ready really soon. This is the thing. And if you don't have the Super Hornet CCU, you can buy that and leave it in your melt. And it's safe there because the Super Hornet has already had its price increase. It is not going to be going up in price. It is a safe bet, and it gets sold regularly. Super Hornets are popular. Super Hornets make money. They are sold outside of the major sales. This is one of those CCUs that's good to base it off. And that makes gifting it very inexpensive, not very risky. You can give them to orc mates. You can sit it on it to speculate with. This is the new $0 CCU for essentially a Terrapin price speculation. So this is a important sort of thing. Again, if you want a Terrapin now, just get an LTI token and upgrade it all the way. But if you want this is about price speculation. This is about perhaps gifting to a friend. That this is the CCU you want to go for, and it's only $10.
You've also noted there, though, the Taurus for $45, and that's a readily available one as well. So
yeah, like if you didn't want to be fancy with the Super Hornet CCU, you could just go straight off a Taurus. And like, if you were just thinking just for one ship, just for yourself, that's not a bad idea either. Because the Taurus is always, again, on sale, easy to do. So you could either choose like Taurus to Terrapin, or you could do Taurus to Super Hornet, and then Super Hornet to Terrapin, and that keeps that flexibility. Like if you wanted to give it to someone else. Yeah. Anyway, the final CCU that we're going to be talking about is the Hurricane, because again, ship almost done and ready. It's a bit of a common phrase. We're going to be seeing this in 3.1, no doubt, along with the Terrapin. I think it'll go up $15 to $20. Not quite as much as the Terrapin, but it's definitely going to go up in price by a reasonable margin. And the CCU we're going to recommend is the Hornet Tracker to the Hurricane, which is... I thought I did that, but I guess not.
No, you've got Constellation Taurus there.
Yeah, it's Constellation Taurus. Yep, that's a better one. It's $25. It's the same sort as a... That's always on sale. It's probably the closest one you can get that's not too complex or, would have regularly on sale. So yeah, Taurus to Hurricane, $25. Again, that allows you to perhaps gift it to a friend with no money. Perhaps use that as a price speculation if the price goes up. And, basically the four CCUs we just told you, the Crucible, Carrack, Terrapin, and the Hurricane, those are the four recommended advanced sort of maneuver CCUs we're talking about with regards to price speculation, locking in the old price, as well as being able to perhaps gift it to a friend or use it to discount a future ship. And I think that ends the sale for today, except for one other thing. The new Anvil Hawk is this sale's LTI token. So if you didn't get a Dragonfly or a Nox or an X1 and you've been under a rock for the last couple of months, that is the ship that you want to get for an LTI token. It may not be good for early type starter ships and things like that, but for all of the big ships on sale over the next 8 to 9, 10 days, this is a perfectly good LTI token. It's going to be on sale every day, so don't get those 5-year insurances. There's no reason for you to get that 5-year insurance when you can just buy that Hawk as the LTI
$10
token.
extra.
Yeah.
$10 extra.
And if you're spending real money, you save $10, which is cheaper than buying their concept ships with 5-year insurance by $10 regardless. So that's my recommendation.
Wow.
Oh, let's get on to the actual event now.
All right, so are we talking about the Hawk now?
Yes.
Ah.
I was
biggest
wrong
missed
about
opportunity.
We were both wrong.
It's not a light scout. It's a big weaponry fighter, which they promised they weren't going to be putting any more out for the rest of the year, and I'm just like, it's not.
Well, it's not really fighter. Well, it is and it isn't. It's a bounty hunting ship. But they are right. They did kind of lie about it. So yeah.
Carthen Slayer says, should I buy a ton of CCUs at $0? There are no more $0 CCUs now. They've actually disabled a lot of those old $0 CCUs. It is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Well, just have to say about the Hawk. It's a big missed opportunity because it is a starter ship that really needs a starter package. I really wish they had a starter package for this thing. Something with like a game package with an LTI would be awesome, or even tossing in maybe the ability to get Squadron 42. I think that would be a great entry into Star Citizen.
That would be really popular.
I'm actually kind of surprised this far along in the kind of how things are going, that they haven't actually made it so you can just add a game package to any LTI ship. So you can take a standalone ship and make it a game package. I'm surprised that hasn't been done. Why haven't they done that?
It doesn't make sense, because you should be able to just anytime I have this ship, well, let me just tack on this game package. Oh, Squadron 42, let me tack that onto this. And it makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense during some of these concept sales with some of these starter style ships to be
I wouldn't call it a starter for one reason, and that's that it can't take any cargo. And if you look at both the starter ships, so your Mustang and your Aurora, they are both heavily cargo focused because it's probably the safest profession in that regard. I think that's the only I could see the Avenger. I'll give you that hands down. I reckon that's an advanced starter without even blinking. And the only other official advanced starter is the Reliant, and that's definitely cargo as well. So, I don't
have
think
to compare it to that Avenger, though. It has almost exactly the same firepower if you do the math and work the numbers.
It's actually, in my opinion, worse.
I'm talking about as a starter ship. I don't think it's a starter purely based on the lack of cargo. That's the only reason I wouldn't paint it with the starter brush. But that's my personal opinion.
My personal opinion is it's definitely in the starter sort of range. It is too limited to be a proper combat ship, and it is in there with the Avenger, and it sort of competes with it. This one has EMP, but this one has more the missiles, but this one
it's the best of both worlds. It's actually the best of both worlds because it has EMP. Well, it has an EMP like the Warlock, but it also has like the Stalker, the ability to at least store one person, but a Stalker stores more. So
it's sort of a trade-off of balances. One does something a little bit better, but this one can also do the exact same things, but not in the same mix. So it actually gives competition to the Avenger Warlock and being able to swap out with the Prisoner Bay.
Not competition because
it does, because it gives alternatives, and that is the competition.
Also, the Warlock doesn't have cargo as well. So now he states that they are very similar.
But you have missiles.
Yeah,
you get that really powerful combo. EMP missile plus 2, it's a size 4 EMP, but when you look at the stats page, which of course we all know could be wrong, it looks like a size 1 EMP. And that
look, it's the same price. They do very similar roles and cover them, and the slight differences between them, I can't see this as anything but a competitor to the Warlock.
And that's what they touted it as in the ATV. It's Anvil and Aegis butting head to head, and if you specifically take the Warlock and get rid of the Stalker and the Titan variants, they are really similar. The missiles, yes, but also, what are the size guns on the Avenger Warlock? Are they size 1s as well?
You have size 2 mounts. Yeah, size 3 and 2 size 2 mounts they can put in. So because it's currently gimbaled at size 1, or not gimbaled, but it's currently fixed size 1 distortion cannons, but you can put 2.
So take the missiles out of it. What do you reckon stronger, the 6 size 1s or the guns that you mentioned on the Warlock?
I would say probably about equal.
They're almost equal. There's only slight advantage.
So when you
turned it into a damage percentage, it'd be 525% versus 600 for the Hawk. So that they're so you
close. So you chuck the missiles back in, and then, in my opinion, that puts the Warlock back on top.
Yeah, well, the Warlock is the better aggressor, while the Hawk would be the better rounded out for, capture, I suppose.
Yeah. I even like how you get it better.
You also can't capture with the Warlock. That's something to be of note too. So I think with when you look at the Avenger as a whole, you're going to have to choose what you're going to want to do, but it's kind of a bit more flexible, so you can do cargo or you can do bounty hunting, but you can't. The Warlock's not a module, is it? That's not something you can just slice in. It's a completely different hull. So you almost need.
The Warlock is a module. If you read the store page, it is a module. You can
oh, really?
Put it out. You can still swap it out.
Then that's the better ship, in my opinion. Straight off the bat.
I think they're both interesting.
Oh no, without a shadow of a doubt, they're both interesting. But I still, I know you guys kind of don't see where I'm coming from with the cargo, but I think the cargo really means that it's Yeah, it rounds it out and it makes it the more better starter for newbies. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. It's the safer, like if you don't want to get out into the combat and risk losing your ship, you can just do cargo and it's nice and safe and friendly and easy breeze. Where if you've actually got only the Hawk, you must bounty hunt, so therefore you're immediately putting yourself in danger.
I will say though, out of the bounty hunters, I personally do have a lean toward the Hawk, because the Stalker, you don't have the advantage of that nice EMP in there when you're wanting to do that. And you're probably going to laugh at me, I actually like it a little bit better for bounty hunting currently than what I've seen on the Cutlass Blue. Yeah, the Cutlass Blue has more firepower, but it's just the EMP and being able to get into small maneuverable will be probably a little bit harder to detect. That right there really leads into the favor, actually.
Does the Warlock lose the bed when you go over, from the regular?
Yes, it does, and it irritates me to no end as someone who flies the Warlock, because I'm like, the EMP takes up my entire back cargo and my bed. I'm like, why can't I just turn the chair over? Because when my ship exploded one time, I was able to get into the bed.
Like, two things for the Hawk's favor. I think it's slightly smaller, as in like thinner, because let's face it, the Avenger's a bit bulky for its size. But I actually reckon the Hawk might. I think the Hawk will. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think it'll have a bit more maneuverability. So I think where it might be slightly lacking in the missiles, I think where it'll round out is it'll gain the mobility, and that'll bring them back to about equal. But yeah, it's a wait and see game.
Yeah, because they sort of promised that it's not that nimble, but it is a bit fast, and so like, you're not really sure until they actually put the numbers down and decide.
So what's everyone's verdict on this? Execute?
I'm probably going to say wait and see. I'm going to say wait and see, to be honest, because
if you're a fan of the Avenger Warlock, keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah. Maybe if you can pick up a CCU from the Avenger to it or whatever, and then just hold on to it. That's probably where I'd say.
It's $90, so you could easily get a $5 CCU from your Avenger Warlock and just wait and play the game. And if it's something you think that's a better deal than your Avenger Warlock, then why not?
Yeah. I actually think anyone that owns a Stalker should have at least a CCU of that lying around, because I think they will be surprised that if you're never going to do cargo, or you're never going to go full EMP with a bunch of buds, I think that's going to be the way to go if you want to go bounty hunting.
I think it'll be a fun ship to fly, like especially with the visibility in the cockpit. Say, like,
I love the down visibility.
It'll be like being on the deck of the Titanic. Look, I'm flying.
Watch out for the iceberg.
Ooh, yes. Right, shall we talk about the Terrapin? Because man, I'm in love.
Yes, Terrapin's got to be next.
All right. I think one of the first things I'm going to say, and this is just about Anvil as a whole, the whole Star Wars aesthetic. I've not been the best fan of the looks of the Anvil ships from the outside, but if the inside's going to look like that, that really makes up for it, doesn't it? Like, just.
They said I don't know a little, but I'm wondering how much. Like, it was actually one of the smaller ships. It was always smaller than the Hornets and the Sabres, so it had room to grow, so it could still fit in a lot of those hangars. So I don't think it's a problem, but that
it sounded like most of it grew because of the landing gear. He kind of explained how the landing gear wasn't big enough to hold its stance. So I think you'll find that it's probably maybe got taller. Not really longer, maybe. Again, wait and see. It didn't really like as we were talking earlier. It didn't really seem that much bigger. I think it maybe looks a bit taller, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
That makes sense. I'll go with the landing gear idea. That it probably got a fair bit taller.
The landing gear would make sense on that. I also think maybe it expanded a little bit due to all the folding armor, because they actually had to figure out how to actually make it fold within the space and maybe item system.
Just a question that popped in the chat there. I didn't notice that. Did you guys notice that? Can't quite make his name. It's TWYCHO says, don't forget about the mention of the Shadowhawk, a stealth variant. I didn't catch that. Did you guys catch that?
If you want to put that in the chat, tell us where you heard that. we'll have a quick
Yeah,
review.
Where did you? Because that actually would be awesome if that actually.
They've next person to put a question in there. They're getting rid of BUKs, man. They don't exist anymore, so you won't see any E-War variant for the Terrapin.
They're moving heavily away from that because it's sort of they realize they're going to implement those things last, and everyone's going to be waiting for them for forever. So it's
so it's in the brochure apparently.
Okay.
For the, we'll have to pull that up and have a look. I might do that because I can do things you can't. Yeah,
it's interesting though. The Terrapin, the developers were very much talking about like, oh, it's a solo exploration ship, and you know, you totally. It's better to do it by yourself as opposed to bring a buddy because your supplies might not last as long. And like, shit, you pack a couple more Snicker bars in. You know, what are we going to run out of food or something along the way? Or the fuel's going to cost too much more. They put too much of a focus on the single player element and what I see as a team ship. Those two seats, you know, scream team play, a dedicated AWACS operator, while you do dedicated piloting. This is a team ship. And then they even went on to say, oh, in a large fleet, you know, you'd want to be by yourself. You know, it's not really a two-person thing because you can sort of do both things at once. I'm like, have you never heard of AWACS?
That's how it works. You have people dedicated looking at screens going, okay, and passing on that information. And it'll make your life a lot easier, being as you're flying, focusing on what's going on, while like staying out of sensor range, while the other guy is sitting here doing that and passing on the information. So it allows you to do a lot more.
This is a two-person ship. Like, it has so much potential because it can have two people, one dedicated to operating all those sensors and communications, and the other person looking out for everything else. And so yeah, I feel like these devs are like out of sync with the sort of the concept or the reality or the way the game's going to flesh out, especially when they start talking about working in large fleets. And I'm just like, ugh.
Oh my.
Do you want me to read out what these variants are?
Yes,
please.
So it says the Direhawk project, which is based on a popular third-party conversation, aims to add additional 2 scattergun mounts and support battery. The second variant is the Shadowhawk, a stealth variant intended for more advanced hunters and potential military sale. At present, the Shadowhawk removes 2 guns in exchange for stealth armor coating and an addition of a data spike array. That sounds like an E-Warfare variant with a data spike array.
Oh my.
The Shadowhawk's future at retail is less certain, but it is expected to reach the prototype article stage before any decision is made. That kind of changes my thought on the Hawk completely.
Yeah.
This variant is like an Avenger, but now we've got 2 other variants. It's really cool because it's now gone into, there's our cheapest E-Warfare variant.
The biggest question,
which is really cool.
and I
Which
hope
is
this
something
gets in the
definitely
Q&A
beginning,
early,
kind of.
when they finally put it up, is will those variants be sold, or is that just future fluff? Like, you know, when they sold the Genesis Star line and they had all these variants they told us about, but you couldn't buy them.
Just same thing with the Caterpillar. It's the same thing. Like, we're all waiting for that shit. I've got a Caterpillar and I'm very up in the air about it, but just have to see.
They could easily be saving it for another sale, or even maybe the classified sale later on.
Well, I think it's kind of a little bit like what Hayes said too. They've got all these ideas for modules, but they don't want to set them in stone, and they are really going to be left to last. And unfortunately, with the way they've got this whole structure set up, a lot of it is, it's not gambling, but it's hedging your bets, if you know what I mean. So you've got to almost spend more to make sure you get what you want. And
VAMP 68 BSB 1975 says, it seems the Hawk was one of a military proposal submitted at Aegis Burkhardt in the next sale. So you know how we've had Aegis collaborate with MISC to bring the Gemini?
Yeah.
Maybe he's talking something about that. I'd be interested to know where he got that information from, though. If you put it in the chat, we'll read it out.
The thing that gets me is, why would they want to work with Aegis, who they're directly building this to compete with?
Competitors.
It's like,
don't say that. Don't say that coming.
Stranger things have happened in the real world with Intel and AMD.
I would actually
love to see
ship working together. So, you know.
Just saying, if I were wanting to see a dream build, and this is not speculation, this is just me dreaming here, it would be Aspiria working with with them to give you some sort of like alien tech into that. That would be what I would love to see.
Actually, we were speculating about a ship the other day that was like that. What was the one we were speculating about? I've forgotten who one.
Oh, I can't remember. It was late.
A Tavaran. That's right. A Tavaran.
Oh,
ship.
yes.
And, with the shields and stuff. That's right. We were saying,
about,
wouldn't
like,
it be
some sort of gunship?
Yeah, that's right. That had Tavaran shields on it. But yeah,
something to compete with the Redeemer would be great.
Well, we might talk about that gunship a little later when that unknown ship that's popped up on the cover of the brochure.
I think we do need to discuss that.
It's the last on the list, so we'll talk about it then.
Where's this list? Like, it's not on our normal.
It's on the show. It's on the show notes. It's right there.
Linking you.
You didn't link me the show notes.
Well, you came late.
Oh, now it explains why you've been doing all this. Then okay, that makes sense because you weren't able to follow. Like we're like, why are you not following the show notes? Like, why are you all over the place? But it makes sense.
What was interjecting?
I went
CCUs.
I went to our normal.
Like, let him speak.
Sorry, I went to our normal show note area, and I'm like, there's nothing here.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, world's worst communication right here.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, at least you turned up, my snake.
Yeah.
Literally, he was here like 30 minutes before we recorded, and so like.
And then he just left.
He's gone. I had no idea where
I'm sorry, Windows updates.
But we got this great derpy snake to represent him, so it's all good.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to the Carrack then?
Yeah. Oh my goodness! It's grown. We predicted it was going to grow, but like, if you put 20% on a 120 meter ship, that's Polaris length coming close to, isn't it? It's like.
Well, 128 meters on the original, and they said it's grown by 30 meters, so that puts it in the 158 meters to be approximate from what they've said. So you look at 160 meters. The other 160 meter ship, off the top of my head, is the Banu.
I think the Banu's well out of that ballpark
and
right now.
And the Polaris.
And the Reclaimer.
And the Reclaimer.
Yeah. It's like, my God, this thing's huge. They'll probably have a bit more cargo space in that. I mean, did you see the cargo rooms for that? There was like...
Oh, the cargo rooms are amazing, actually. I was actually really impressed by the style of the hallways. It made me feel like Star Trek. It kind of... The coloring and everything made me kind of think of going back to the Defiant a little bit.
I still saw Star Wars, personally. But, yeah, I love the aesthetic. What can I say? So, yeah.
And they're going for a much more military look than even Aegis, so I think it's going to look mint.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
That's definitely not Star Trek then, because Star Trek never really had a military.
Defiant.
It was very.
That's why I said it kind of reminded me of the Defiant a little bit.
Even the Defiant didn't though. They were very like that neutral tones in Star Trek. Like when I'm looking at it, I actually see the bridge of. Like the like in the new Force Awakens when they have the carriers, it reminds me of that somewhat. But I guess it's a bit wait and see. We'll see what happens. But I like it either way.
The big thing that got me was the special. Like I always thought it was going to be an Ursa rover in there, and then they said, "Oh yeah, we're working on a special rover." I was like, "Huh? Special rover?"
No complaints. If it's a larger rover than the Ursa, because they've got a bigger bay, they can fit bigger vehicles in there. Why not do a souped-up rover, especially for the Carrack?
And makes you wonder, will it be more explorer-focused? Or would it be more utilitarian-focused, too? There's a whole couple of different ways they can take that. So I think it'll be more explorer-focused, though.
Well, it could
I did also like...
Focus. This is like... They're doing a very large military focus on this. This is a military craft that's military first, converted for exploration second.
Well, actually, it was a military scout, so it was built for exploration for the military. So I would actually say it's a scout first in the military sense of scout, not the explorer.
The rover specifically, though, you could argue though that the Ursa kind of does already fill that military-esque role. So I think they'll skew it slightly
Yeah, I
in a
don't know,
different
because
direction.
if it's an actual Anvil rover as opposed to an Ursa
Yeah, that's
rover,
true.
it could be a combat armored type.
They
of
could
rover.
also, yeah, they could also, yeah. Well, then you got the Tumbril too. So I guess it's a wait and see. But also, they are making the Anvil and Aegis kind of butt heads. So you are right. But then again, it's a Robert Space Industries Ursa. So there's so many ways it can go.
Well,
Yeah.
I actually would love to see something that's actually a little bit better for actually bringing things back and actually exploring. Could you imagine something with an Ursa with a giant sensor dish slapped on it, or an Ursa with a flat back for being able to bring in whatever you found?
I prefer an Ursa with a bunch of smoke launchers on the side and a bigger turret on the top, like in the center with higher elevated, so it pops up. You know. I could see that.
We come in peace to explore your world.
Yes, shoot to kill.
We don't have an image of it, but there's actually a concept image of the Carrack landed on a planet from way back. And if you actually look at the rover that's coming down the ramp on it, it's not the Ursa. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't already have plans in the works for what this looks like. Because it almost looks a bit like a Carrack, the nose of the, and you got the pointy nose in the Carrack. It's almost like that on an Ursa. Or if you get a chance to look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
We've got so many ground vehicles they haven't shown us yet. Now we've got the Origin rover, we got the Anvil rover, and now we've got. Jeez, they got to be busy.
Remember what I was saying about the bigs? Them saying a couple, and sometimes couple is loosely used to mean several, and instead of two, even like it usually is. I would love to actually see some of these ground vehicles actually have a big ground vehicle sale and be like, "Hey, this is everything we have."
They're doing a big ground vehicle sale. I'm not.
But
sure
I mean, actually, a big new sale. Like, hey, these are new things that are gonna fill in because. Here you go. So we at least have an idea of what we're looking at there.
It's meant to be a tank coming, before the end of the year. So I'm kind of speculating. Well, Hayes and I were talking about it yesterday. That there's probably a tank coming on the ground vehicle.
A heavy vehicle of some sort would be good.
Yeah.
Like you could switch out from a weapons platform to cargo to maybe a mining drill. You know, they need.
I would like to see some dedicated, not trying to be versatile, because it can be much better if it's a dedicated tank, not something that's versatile.
Well, they've said a tank's coming, but I agree with Hayes. I'd rather a utility vehicle than a tank personally, but that's just me. So yeah.
Speaking of sort of like small vehicles, see that Merlin in the snub bay for the Carrack? That was very interesting because opposed to like having a proprietary docking system like a Constellation has, it's actually going to be a proper bay. And that means you could possibly fit a number of the snubs we already have. Which,
I think you can fit a Buccaneer sideways. Very tight, but I think you can.
Those Merlins are teeny, you know. It's like, I'm not expecting
teeny,
too much.
but they're long, and I think if you turned it sideways, you might be able to barely squeeze it in there. Well, I mean sideways as in, instead of facing the direction the Merlin was, you turn that around 90 degrees. You might be able to squeeze that in.
No chance in hell. But you can dream.
I can try.
Yeah. Should we talk about the Hurricane too? Because I'm kind of surprised by that. That ship is really growing on me, to be honest. Like I didn't think a lot of it. Yeah, it actually, like the way they described it too, like with the attacking the Idris and stuff like that. I can actually see that as in a huge strafing force that goes in and like really does a lot of damage.
Again, I got a facepalm whenever these guys talk about like large fleet movements, and it's like, yeah, it's going to go in, and a whole bunch of these are going to wreck an Idris. I'm like, what about the torpedoes? It's like, where does
what
about
the all the missiles?
In? Yeah,
that's what they actually mention. He actually mentions that. He actually says they go in, they do a bunch of damage, and then they finish him off with torpedoes. So you got obviously they're implying that you got to get the shields down to actually be able to do a proper torpedo run.
It's the sort of ship that I think if it gets close to an Idris, the Idris is going to turn its turrets to that ship first. So,
well, it looks like it's going to be a fairly large target, maybe fast but large, and it looks like it's not going to last too many hits from one of those guns.
Like I said, when I think of the Terrapin, it's a It's a sort of flanker. It's a pincer movement within an actual squadron. So you normally want your squadron to engage, and then you position Terrapin to take advantage of the situation. And then if that situation turns on the Hurricane, then your squadron then protects you by getting on their tail and annihilating them. It's a team. They keep thinking of these ships as, I'm just flying and I'm in a ship that can do it all sort of thing, and my Hurricane's gonna take down an Idris. It's gonna be amazing. It's like
they're thinking Star Wars Luke shooting it into.
They mentioned it. They mentioned a few of them. I think they said 3 Hawks. Sorry, 3 Hurricanes. What am I saying? I'm getting drunk here. Too tired. 3 Hurricanes. So I can see them working in a group. We also know that they're working on being able to move in flight formations, so you can actually almost lock yourself to other people. So I see it happening, but it's probably a way off.
Just saying, something I thought would be interesting is if they increase distortion weapons and you put distortion weapons on that same Hurricane squad.
I think
imagine how fast you could rip through shields.
I think the Hurricane was said to have really bad reactors and shields and everything, and so you might get a couple shots off with a high-powered energy distortion weapon, but you're going to run out of power so quick it's going to overheat. You just won't have the systems to. That's why they said ballistic weapons on this one, because
Did they say burst fire at all or something like that? I remember, because it overheats really quickly or something. I remember that, but I could be wrong. So
I remember what you're saying.
Yeah. So you got to use ballistics on it because of the overheating and whatnot.
Well, and the power requirements.
And the power requirements, but.
Also, it means it limits it to the amount of ammo it can have and stuff like that. So I think that's all deliberately part of its design.
Yeah. It's
Makes
powerful, but it has limitations.
It's a well-designed ship. Just saying.
All right. Do you want to bring up the image of the cover of the brochure for the Hawk for me?
Okay. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but
it's the cover of the Hawk.
Not that one?
Oh, that's the Hawk. Nope, not that one. Just the cover, so it'll be the white brochure that had all the ships on it, had all the different ships on it.
Oh, you're talking about... Oh, I don't know.
The cover of the brochure.
This one.
All right, so this is the cover of the brochure that came out today, and you can notice all the ships are to scale there. So you got your Bengal carrier, your Starfarer, your Polaris, and an Idris, and then you'll notice below them on the left you've got the small little Hawk there. But then there's this ship we've never seen before. Now, if you want to switch that to the one that's zoomed in, Hayes, and we've been speculating about this pretty much all morning. And I think I'll just say it outright what we kind of think it is. We think it's probably most likely a Corvette, so Polaris-sized Aegis kind of gunship, capital ship Corvette.
Well, that was a lot bigger. They put the size comparison. They put the Bengal there for a reason, to show how big the small ships are. And this is as big as a Polaris, much bigger than a Starfarer. This is like a 155 to 200 meter long ship. It's
I
huge.
think... Yeah, but the other stuff we've been talking about too is what is it better than a Polaris? Is it not better than a Polaris?
Well, what does it do? I mean, look at those guns. They're huge and it's got tons of turrets.
It looks like an anti-capital.
I wouldn't be surprised if it had another turret underneath, so it had 6. And those guns are huge. They're bigger than anything on the Polaris, and they've got size 4 guns on those little tiny turrets. This could be like 5 or 6 sized weapons on turrets with excellent coverage.
Chances are we've only got to wait till tomorrow to find out, but because there is a classified thing on tomorrow if you look on the schedule, but it's like Hayes says, it looks like every turret there has 4 guns on it, and then if you do the math, there's like at least 2 on each side, and I reckon there's one on the bottom and one on the top, as you can see.
I'm not sure if it is. Yeah, it might have.
Can you pull up the Polaris image, please? Because I would like to say, if you look at the Polaris image, which has the size 4 guns, you look at the guns on this, I would actually speculate that these are at least size 6, if not 7, because they look to me like this, almost like the size 7 guns on your Javelin, because this ship looks like a Javelin. The artist got bored. Cut a Javelin. the back of a Javelin, shrunk the engines a little bit, and then slammed something on the front to say, "Oh, I need a few more guns."
Yeah, it's interesting though, because like this obviously doesn't have the tactical or missile capacities of a Polaris, and it's got way more firepower. So it's like it'd be a destroyer or a gunboat of some sort. But since the Polaris has really weak shields, really thin armor, and is really fast, maybe this is like the polar opposite of that. Maybe this is a tanky, heavily armored, and it does look heavily armored, and that would go with Aegis. No, sorry. Not... Yeah, that would go well with Aegis. And if you look at the design, it does look Aegis. It reminds me of a Javelin. Have a look at this. It's very bulky. In the middle, the sections there look like a Javelin. The engines look like sort of like a Javelin. It has an Aegis sort of feel to this ship.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a brawler, though.
And someone in chat's also mentioned the same thing we've been calling it. We've been calling it the Hammerhead. So yeah, we like that name as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe just the Hammer for short. I don't know what they'll call it, but I think that's a really good name for it.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if a strong shield can really tell on the fight, but it's not very fast. It's like a
kind of the opposite of the Polaris.
The Polaris is probably going to be your more versatile ship, though. This is going to be what you bring out. This ship, the Hammerhead, is what you bring out for combat. The Polaris is great for escorts and everything because it has a fighter bay. I do not see room for a fighter bay, maybe squeezed on the bottom or in the rear, because if you look at the rear, possibly, but I would hope there's engines there, because otherwise this ship is going to be like, I'm coming, guys! I'll be there eventually!
I wouldn't be surprised if it had a small, like, Argo-sized thing to move some people to surface and back. But, like, this thing's huge.
Polaris is larger.
I'm sure you said that to all the girls.
I think this is fatter, though. This is more bulk to it, I think.
It's well designed, though, because I really like how if you look how they stair-step the guns on it, I think that's really well designed so you can get every gun to bear at your target. And
well,
that
is a broadside. You rotate 30 degrees and all your guns are on target. That's like that's crazy.
You'd literally get 5 turrets on one target, which is crazy.
Which is crazy, but I think it'll also be very vulnerable to fighters, because looking at the size of the turrets and everything, the Polaris will definitely have the advantage when trying to deal with fighters or shooting down torpedoes. So it'll probably fill that role that the Polaris lacks, which is that sustained firepower.
Yeah, well, it might be a smaller ship before you get to the Idris and Javelin that allows it to do more defensive-styled sort of gameplay, like in a convoy or in a large fleet. You know, at the end of the day, the Polaris is not so much a defender, it is an attacker. It's an aggressor. It's meant to do that pincer movement as a part of that fleet, and this may be the other Corvette-sized ship that, you know, has the balls and the brawn to sort of, you know, take it and dish it back at the same time, but not necessarily chase anything down.
I'm just gonna have to say, Juka Palm is asking about the price, and I'm thinking it's gonna have to be around where your Polaris is, because CIG's not gonna be nice and be like, hey, let's actually make this a reasonable price.
I think it'll be less than the Pioneer.
I think it's going to be at least Polaris price, so I'm thinking at least $750. But it looks slightly larger. I'm gonna call 800, and I'll leave it.
I say it looks smaller, but I think CIG's crazy, so they'll be 800 because 800.
Yeah,
people do it. I didn't think we were going to get another big expensive ship at the end of this year, but I was wrong.
people asking where they can find that picture. That is literally, I literally just zoomed in a PDF viewer on the brochure, and I just did a snippet in Windows 10, and that's what it is. It's just
the
a
front
copy.
page of the Hawk brochure. If you want to download
it's literally just that image, and all I did was zoom in and take a screenshot. That's all I did.
Yep.
And I think someone's link. I'm getting links from org mates at the moment. Give that to the fans. Hang on.
Give me the link. I'll send it in.
This is a bigger one of the brochure, but yeah, it's from Blazon here. I'll just link it to you. There you go. I linked it into our little chat.
I do want to see more details because I really want to know if it can fit a fighter. Because if it can fit a fighter, it now kind of eats into some of that escort role that the Polaris has.
I don't think it needs the fighter though. I think.
I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm sick and tired of having hangers. As much as I appreciate it in the Polaris, I think I don't want that.
The Polaris is literally a flying hangar. That's what it is. Flying hangar with missiles,
which is incredibly useful. But at the same time, I think we need some more ships without hangars. Yeah.
Banu Merchantman.
It's a bit different. That's like, see.
Now when it's your favorite ship, it's a little bit different.
Don't hurt my baby. Jeez.
But of course, so let's steal some of the cargo from this thing and then toss in a defender.
I can't complain about that, honestly. Oh, Snake is online. He's coming on.
Yeah, he's been talking to me. I've just been trying to get him on here.
You should have yelled at him earlier.
I was yelling at him. I just did it in text.
Snake! Snake! Jeez, there I yelled at him.
Yeah. I said by the time he gets here, though, we'll probably be finished and all done.
Well, what other questions do we have here?
Yeah, that's probably all we've got left to do now is answer some questions. If anyone's got any more questions, especially about CCU or any of the ships we've discussed today.
Okay, let's see if I did this right. Oh, almost.
Hey, welcome to the stream, Snake.
I think he's...
Snake.
You have to add him to the audio.
Yeah, hang on. I don't know how to do that. Hang on.
Yeah.
Add friends to DM. Hang on. No. Add. There you go.
I hope the hangar is better than the Delamar hangars. Nice.
Oh, jeez. Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
Of course we can hear you. Are you guys looking at Drake's new Cutlass Pink variant?
Yeah. Oh god, no. Are you turning your camera on, Snake, so people can see your ugly face?
I will. I just want to make sure my background.
Your makeup's correct. Right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you don't want to see the horrible things that are behind me.
Oh, what's happened to my? Whoa! I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Look.
So you guys were last talking about the Hammerhead, if I remember correctly.
The lovely Hammerhead, which has so much potential.
Let's try this. Tell me if this works out.
Everyone's image has just gone everywhere. So they're seeing all this background organisation we do before we start the live stream now.
Yeah.
Well, we did have it organized, but some people.
No one told me I was going to be here with you.
Do you know, he actually said that. He actually turned around and said, "Nobody told me that I was meant to be on the show."
Yeah,
like,
I literally just said that.
I was like, hold it. We were talking to you.
We were talking to you saying, we'll see you in like 5 minutes, Snake. Blah, blah, blah.
Did you seriously? Oh,
yes!
funny.
We waited for 40 minutes for you and you were gone. Oh,
well, better late than never, apparently.
So what are your thoughts on this Hammerhead?
All right, well, considering you're talking about the Hammerhead, clearly its main focus is definitely military, especially if you're basing it off of the picture that we have, where there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turrets, huge turrets. And if it's the same size, generally the same Corvette size, basically it's in that Corvette variant. So it'd be, what's that? 100 to or I think the Polaris is 155 meters long. So I say instead of just a torpedo boat that's just going to go in, I said this earlier, it's like saying that it's like a much larger Super Hornet, where it can maybe it's got a lot of armor, maybe it can be in the battle in the midst of it shooting, at close range and be able to take the damage, because the Polaris can't do that. It can.
I think it's definitely a tank that sits there and shoots things, where the Polaris will be more maneuverable.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know the Polaris, the way, I hope they change it, because if you actually study and look at the Matrix, literally the Caterpillar has more shielding power than a Polaris right now. So it's a little bit unsettling.
I hope that actually gets fixed to some degree. Because if a Caterpillar can handle more of a beating than a military ship, then I have severe issues with the military ship. I don't care if you're there to be a quick strike force. That just means you're taken out in the first 2 seconds of any fight.
Exactly, and that's so unsettling. Because I looked at that ship and I studied it, and I was like, you know what, this is a ship I want. This is a ship for me. But I mean, we already know it's just gonna go in there. Like, it's quick. It's like the fastest, but it's relatively quick for a capital ship. So think of that. A Starfarer, you know, I mean, probably is quicker than it. And we all know, and we all complain about how slow that thing just tugs its butt around everywhere.
So would you take this new Hammerhead or a Polaris, Snake?
See, I don't know, but unfortunately, I think maybe that's very good. Like, say if you want to just like basically project your power in a certain area as far as anti-fighter, because the Polaris just has defenses on its own. But I feel like maybe this one's good to not only defend itself, but just a relative area as far as against fighters. The Polaris is more like, yeah, it can handle it.
Because imagine
your Polaris is more of an escort ship, while that's more of an assault ship.
Hammerhead, right? And you put it in a more defensive position. You put it as a part of a convoy or a fleet, and then the Polaris stayed around the edges, out of sight. Yeah. And then so someone comes in and they attack the Hammerhead. It takes the thing, and then the Polaris comes in from the rear, and they go, "Now we're screwed."
Yeah. That's the point of the Polaris. Like, I feel like it's going to go in there, dish out. It's going to obviously have a huge more alpha strike power than, I mean, what we're theorizing on the Hammerhead at the moment. But it can't stand the fight. It can't hang out around for a while. It's got to get out of there. Or else it's gonna get chewed
what
up.
if the Hammerhead is like a gigantic, oversized Terrapin, but with big guns?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
I see the Hammer like a weapons platform, so I could actually see what you were saying, Hayes, where the Polaris is more like a strike craft, where it's quick and nimble. So I could actually see a Hammer sitting in the middle of, say, a bunch of Orions mining or something like that, and the Polaris doing the little escort on the or patrolling on the outside. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, the Polaris is an escort vessel. I feel like the Polaris it excels at either if you need a single ship to guard something, because A, can keep moving, B, it has fighters, so it can be a fighter platform. So let's say I have 2 reclaimers. I would want a Polaris instead going there because it has the fighters. But this is something that you would want for a larger operation or an actual military front line.
Mm-hmm. I think it's nice
Someone was
have those sort of heavy tank ships without having to go to a javelin type, slow sort of setup.
Someone was asking us if we'd discuss our ideas on what we reckon. You know, I was saying this morning about the UAE classified sale as opposed to the Aegis one. What do we reckon that would be? And one of the things I speculated on is a possibility of a new alien ship, so possibly a Zion, or I'm probably not on a banner at this stage because we've had the Defender this year, but I reckon it might be a new Zion ship, if I had to guess, but I could be completely utterly wrong. The only other time we've seen the UAE logo is when we saw the Eclipse, so that's the other thing that I lean towards.
I think something with Asparia, definitely. I see it. I don't think it's going to be any of the direct alien manufacturers. I think UE is going to go to that UE face that makes those special vessels. And that all being said, there's plenty of holes for alien tech to fill. Again, gunship, as we were talking about the other day, something that Redeemer's more of a dropship, but something more like your anti-fighter drop gunship.
That would be really classified sale is during the consolidated Outland day for ships, though. So maybe.
Yeah, but when you look at the icons, so if you go look at the Aegis one, the Aegis one is very clearly a distorted Aegis. When you go look at the one that's on the same day as the consolidated Outland, is very clearly UEE. It's not consolidated, and that makes me think it's something completely, utterly different.
But UEE does not really make ships. They're more like the government.
No, that's what I'm saying. And the only other time I've seen that logo in a ship sale was the Eclipse, when we had the whole classified type of stuff. So I'm thinking it might be some kind of classified ship, which could technically make it an Asperia thing, because they did declassify the Tavaran stuff and whatnot.
Just gonna say, just hypothetically speaking, the answer may be exactly something we were talking about previously, which is the Stealth Hawk.
Could be. Oh
Hey,
yes, it's not fixed again. Some people just
What's wrong?
can't
Okay,
behave.
I'm just
Okay, so we got a question here from Merlin, which I think is an interesting one, being as we've been talking about alien days and everything. Can we expect more alien ships? Will they be more powerful than human ships?
Oh, he's fixed it. Okay. He's even cut my arms off. Look.
I mean,
I'm just playing with your
unfortunately-
nipples. It's fine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, right now, clearly the only thing we're getting of alien ships is they're more expensive because they're more unique and they're rare. So they're just going to have a higher price range. And it sucks because, like, you got ships like a Prowler that's, I think it was 425 regular just store credits. And that's a lot compared to its size and, being a drop ship compared to, like, say, a Hoplite.
I don't think it's going to be raised in price, though, this sale, because looking at the CCU upgrades, I noticed the Reclaimer increased in price, but the Prowler seems to be about the same price, which may mean they don't want to raise it anymore because the alien tax has already pushed it ridiculously far out there.
Well, on top of that, you gotta remember, guys. Like, a lot of people were complaining about the increase in prices. It's because, like for the Carrack, for example, they announced that it was getting produced or on production. So now that's their excuse, and that does happen occasionally. Usually,
People are always going to complain about price, but the thing is, it's been stated since the beginning, ships are always going to increase as they go along the pipeline. It was always stated. People complain when anything goes up in price.
Yep, concept, production, and usually when they talk about it, and then I think, what is it going to be, hangarable,
Release.
and then it's like flight
Release.
ready. Yeah.
No, there's no hangar ready anymore.
When they
there's
put
not.
up prices, sometimes they put it outside of reach of potential sales. But I think that the interest in Star Citizen has been growing enough to maybe offset that they can get away with it. And
They also really don't need to, because if they're releasing a cap ship, who wants to be looking at a cap ship that cost only a little bit extra compared to that drop ship that you have?
Are you reading chat, Dyson?
Really
You're
are a
reading
good
chat,
deal. Like, so you can't.
I am,
fault
but
them
there's
on
no
that.
loot boxes, so I'm good.
Yeah. The price was the main thing on the Polaris. They said instead of limiting it like in numbers, they limited it by the high price that it had. And they stated that.
Still sold out.
Ooh.
That's your snake feed.
It's me? Great.
What is that?
Oh, yeah, what is that? My ears.
I'm moving to see. What was the question?
We need to get Snake a proper microphone set up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we know he's got the
Time to
money.
start a
He bought a new
Patreon.
car last week.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't need a Patreon. Snake can pay for it.
He should have got like a Honda Civic and a decent microphone.
You just got a
Oh,
new computer.
God.
You didn't get the microphone? It's like you got
No,
everything
I
replaced
just
except
got
the
this little
microphone.
thingy. I really think it's the audio software or something, because even when it's
No, it's that pitiful mic you have.
well,
Yeah.
anyway, when it's muted, it's funny even if the audio is loud enough, it'll bypass the mute and it'll seep through, and I don't understand that.
Please don't ignore me. My father died fighting British oppression.
I guess we're on to questions now full time because we've pretty much
Yeah.
talked about everything.
Pretty
we
much
could sell.
everything.
Yeah.
There was
There was a
another-
couple of questions in there. There was a couple.
If
that
you
we've
played
missed.
WoW, Polaris is a rogue and Hammerhead is a tank, and everyone knows when a group gets attacked by the tank, take all the heat on them while the Polaris is mopping up the enemy. That's true. The Polaris has the torpedoes to do it, but the thing is, the Polaris has to live long enough because it can only fire 4 torpedoes at a time. And just anyone that's actually flown a Retaliator should know how long it takes.
Only 4. Yeah, only 4. That's
Only-
heaps. That's heaps. Actually, I thought I could fire 8. No, was it 4 at a time or 8? Oh man, I'm terrible.
You're
I know
talking
it's
about
got-
the Polaris? The Polaris is 4 at a time. It
Yeah, 4
carries
at a time.
24 24 in surplus, and then the additional 4 loaded already. So that's why it's 28 total, size 10 torpedoes.
Okay, let's try getting some questions here. Khan the Slayer says, question is, if I upgrade to a Retaliator base tomorrow, will I get the Anniversary Sale insurance or keep the Cutlass? No. When you CCU to another ship, you always keep the base insurance you already had. So if it had 6-month insurance, your ship maintains that 6 month. If it had LTI, it keeps LTI. So,
recommendation there would be to melt said ship, buy LTI Hawk, and then upgrade that to the Retaliator base, and then you have LTI freaking base Retaliator. Boom, problem solved.
Yeah. Before that, I think there was another CCU question. I want to CCU my X1 with LTI to a Polaris. Can I melt current package, use the store credit as well as cash? I can pay less?
The Polaris is going to be able to be CCU'd from.
Are you sure? Because I think it will, because things that can't be CCU'd, or if it's limited.
Yeah,
the thing about like your 890 jump, you can never do it. I think they're just going to try to go with that routine, or the
was
Pioneer.
Never a limited ship though. It was the actual proper ship you could CCU from. I mean, I have CCUs for the.
I know. Yeah, I know. Like 890, of course it wasn't, because it's a limited ship. Like they only sold
Pioneer
a
was
certain
a
amount
limited
of
ship. People keep forgetting this. There was no CCUs for that, and there was a limited number. Even though they didn't sell them all, it's a typical limited ship like the 890 and the Phoenix. So yeah, I fully believe the Polaris will have CCUs, and yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Are we on full time?
Just read that message I sent to you.
Okay. Yes, I got that.
Cool. Right. Is there anything else we want to go back over that we haven't? Is there any more questions about the Hawk or anything? Because otherwise, just so you guys are aware, Hayes and I have been up since 6 a.m. We got very little sleep, and it's currently midday here in Australia. So I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, I stayed up till midnight with Thanksgiving, having a ton of friends over, and worked myself to death, and I got 4 hours sleep and woke up for this. So. I'm going to bed as well. I didn't see any other questions.
There's a ship that was saying... Yeah. So he's talking about here, the guy said the only ship he couldn't CCU into was the 890, and yeah, that's because that was a limited ship. That's why. Limited ships can't be CCU to, so the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, but I know there are others, are 890 Jump and the Phoenix. There is more though, isn't there, Hayes?
Javelins and Idrises also count.
Yep, but they automatically come with LTI because they're over $1,000, so it kind of negates that whole problem. So the only two that really fall into that ballpark are the 890 Jump and the Phoenix. Well, I think they might be getting money hungry. I was going to CCU and give them $50 more dollars, but now $100 more, and I'm saving my money to buy a pizza. Is this for the Carrack, mate? Because I think with the size increase and where it's going, I still think that's it's still a good deal for what you're getting.
Yep.
It is. It really is. It's a very popular ship.
Carrack and the Banu Merchantmen are the best ships, bang for your buck.
Down. You want the price increases. Even the Banu Merchantman going from 250 to 350.
You get so much with both. The Carrack is a top-of-the-line exploration ship that you can do a lot with your friends with, and you can even run some cargo if you really were pressed to it. And then you have the Banu Merchantman, which can run cargo in dangerous space without even having a second thought, because it is heavily armed, and you're gonna have to have a pretty big group to go, hey.
Yeah. Exactly, and if you got defenders, if you got defenders helping out, that actually takes care of the fighter issue. I mean, and if you got a bigger ship, I mean, the guns on it.
You can have an escort of 2 fighters easily on one for one Banu, because using that hangar.
Yeah, there was an RSI email out today, and at the very end of it, there was a guess this ship, and it was an Origin ship. I'm guessing it's the 600i, but it's a brand new picture that we haven't seen before. There's like a hallway and a staircase sort of thing.
Yeah. Can you queue it up or not? Can you queue it up or not?
I'll try to do it really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Did you guys see it?
long story. Yeah, I saw it. I still think it's the 890 jump, but you're right. It could be the 600i as well. We just don't know. There's a question there in chat too. What did we buy anything today, guys? I want to know if we bought anything.
I did get a Hawk, but mainly because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to this for a time being. If it ends up being better than my Warlock, great. If not, I can upgrade off of it CCU wise to something that's actually good.
You know what you probably should have got. So would you keep an Avenger Warlock and keep
This is the image.
Oh wow.
No, because honestly, I really at max I would ever own one small ship.
So why buying the whole ship then when you could have just bought an upgrade?
Just because I had that lying around.
Wait, what?
I melted my Noxes, and I decided, hey, and I melted a few things. I was like, you know what? I really shouldn't have a Nox anyway. As much as I love the Nox, it was kind of like, well, it's a Nox, and anyone who's watched some of our previous episodes, sell your fighters. You'll understand the philosophy of getting rid of all of your small ships and having a large ship. Having one small ship lying around is max what you should have.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
it's very good for a buyback or something, or using it as a token. So
that staircase there in the image, what makes you think it's the 600i, Hayes? Just to go over that.
Because the rounded sort of see along the sides there, that rounded sort of passageway thing. That's very reminiscent.
I'm gonna mess up. Sorry, guys.
But not the 890 jump. So I think, and the passageway it leads into on either side.
I just thought that was Origin in general, but I'm trying to think of the staircase on the 600i. I didn't think there was a big staircase like that, but
it's got 2 levels.
Pretty sure there is. I mean, now it's 91 meters, so don't forget.
I actually think it's the jump, because honestly, I feel like that's a huge waste of space in an Origin ship to have a hallway that big.
Look how big the guy is too. Like, you could almost drive a grey cat up those stairs. Like, it just seems too big for a 600i.
I picture a rich Origin owner getting on a grey cat going up that.
Yeah, like the golf buggy through the hotel type of analogy. Yeah.
Oh,
I was trying to look to a very similar picture.
Well, they promised us
unless there's a new Origin ship,
new Q&A. So like maybe we're going to see that on the Origin Day. They're going to redo the Q&A and resell the 600i, because like
that makes a lot of sense though. Now you've said that, yeah, it kind of does. So.
If they did redo the Origin 600i, as we were having a conversation the other day, Execute, about science ship. The Origin 600 was the biggest missed opportunity. Was a science ship, because who wouldn't want to go around in a stylish ship that you could do a little bit of exploration in and be like, oh, well, I'm going to explore this and do science.
And now it's a ship. It's like, it's got the room.
The image that went into my head when Dyson explained it was like he was explaining like a fancy doctor or a fancy scientist, and when you go to the waiting room, they've always got that violin music, or I could actually just see that, like a real pompous jackass type of doctor in this really elegant type of ship, and it made a lot of sense.
Free magic, Doctor Strange.
Well, that's the point. I mean, you look at that. That's like literally basically, what is it? The audience that they're trying to pitch to, because it's still like selling a car or something, and they want to pitch to a certain audience, and they want to say, I mean, this isn't going to be better than a Aquila. This isn't going to, do anything else better than that, or like better sensors than a Polaris. But hey, you're going to look good doing it at least. So,
but if you could do science in it, I really feel like that would be the thing that would make this awesome, is being like, if you could do science, or at least if they change it so the touring module at least allows you to take luxury touring missions, because obviously,
I mean, come on,
it doesn't make sense.
The cargo past 40 SCU.
See, audience. It's pretty obvious what audience for. Oh, it's gonna disappear, isn't it?
What is that?
You get a 90-meter ship and it has 40 SCU and cargo, and
you have a paper brochure.
Snake.
Yeah,
Snake.
I got a
Snake.
What?
Put it on your chest and it probably won't disappear.
Yeah.
All right.
Put the brochure on your chest.
Yeah.
Is it there?
That's some nice tits you've got there. That's some nice tits.
Thanks. awesome, isn't it? Can't really see it, but
Bring it to
Yeah,
the
that's
left a little.
so. Is that the 600 or the
Yeah,
890 jump? Yeah, see that I think that's definitely the 890 jump because it's got wooden finishes. Where if you look at the hexagons there, it was a lot more white. The inside was a lot more white. There was not a lot of brown. But hey, I'm happy to be wrong.
They
Maybe
could
hide
always
the image so we
surprise
can
us
see more of
with
the
the-
chat.
They
I'm
should have
still with
started
the
work on
890.
890 jump a long time ago, so maybe they're going to surprise us and show us some.
They have started.
Yeah.
They have started, haven't they? From memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like look at the amount of
They
ships
talked
they
about